Welcome to Illo Talk. I am Cory Kerr, and this is 100 Days of Animation, Day 57. And today is going to be a short one. Kevin Cross, who started 100 Days of Making Comics and encouraged me to do this, did a video a week or so ago about some of the rules about doing this 100-day thing. Not so much rules, but suggestions. And one of his suggestions was some of the videos don't have to be that complicated. They can just be there for accountability. So this video is here for accountability. I did not get off work today until 11:30 in the p.m. And so it's late. And I'm covering a class tomorrow. And so I've got to be up soon. So I'm actually not doing anything that you can see, but I will show you what I'm doing. This weekend, I will be going on a retreat with some students, and we will be doing some storytelling and creative brainstorming workshops. I will see what I can do about capturing some of that, and we'll share some of that. But in preparation for that, I am reviewing some of my favorite books on storytelling and creativity. So there are a ton of them out there, and some of them I actually have in audiobook form, and some of them are in my office. And so I don't have all of them to show you, but let me show you the ones that I'm actually going over. And then I will not force you to watch me read. So this is just going to be a short video, and then we'll be out. But anyway, the two best books on storytelling, hands down, are going to be Brian McDonald's Invisible Ink. Sorry, this one. Invisible Ink. And Invisible Ink is a practical guide to storytelling, right? Building stories that resonate. This is a fantastic book. I cannot tell you enough good things about this book. It is like life-changingly good on storytelling. So many amazing examples. Those of you that are familiar with the Chris Oatley podcasts and the Oatley Academy and stuff will likely be familiar with Brian McDonald, because that's where I heard about him. He's been on their show several times, the Paper Wings podcast, and he's amazing. He's literally incredible, and you should definitely read this book. The other book that he wrote that I really love is The Golden Theme. He has another one called Ink Spots. I can't remember if I read that one or not. But anyway, The Golden Theme. The Golden Theme. So on Twitter, I was talking about these books, and he jumped on there and had a conversation with me, and he's super cool like that, right? He doesn't know who I am. But he's just a cool guy. And he was saying that the Invisible Ink book is the how, and the Golden Theme book is the why. And literally the Golden Theme is opened my eyes to the power and reasons for storytelling. I mean, just to give you a basic gist of that book and some of the themes, storytelling is so ingrained into our humanity and our survival as a species that it is absolutely essential. For example, and he gives examples like this. For example, a lot of animals have genetic memory to where, they are born within a number of weeks. They're pretty much ready to go out on their own and just instinctively know how to do things. And we are not like that at all. And so one of the reasons that we survive is because we hear stories. We tell each other stories. And so, for example, you guys probably wear your seatbelt because at some point in time in your childhood, your mom told you about some horrific accident that somebody that she knew. I had a friend who didn't wear a seatbelt, and, he flew through the windshield, blah, blah, blah. The reason I'm careful on a motorcycle is because my mom knew a guy who was decapitated on a motorcycle, right? And so these stories, they help us understand how we should act and why we should do specific things. And so stories are super helpful because we don't have much of a genetic memory. You're basically born with the reflex to suck because you need to be able to nurse, and hold your breath if somebody blows in your face, which can help, infants that. And then they have like a fall reflex, right? But other than that, we learn a lot of it, and we learn a lot of it through stories. When you meet someone, you say, "Hey, how's it going?" Right? Someone that you know. And what you're actually saying there is, "Hey, will you tell me a story so that I can also tell you a story?" We'll exchange stories about our day and how it's going. And then from there, we can connect with each other and learn something about each other through stories, right? So Invisible Ink, the golden theme, fantastic, super fantastic. And Invisible Ink came up with, it has this story formula. And I don't want to say formula because I've read Save the Cat, a couple other, or Save the Cat, a couple other things like that. And I don't want to trash books, and I don't want to go out there and trash books. So I'm not going to. I will just say that Invisible Ink is not prescriptive, and it is not formulaic. Can I say what Invisible Ink is not without trashing other things? Okay. Saves the Cat is prescriptive and formulaic. So you guys judge what you want out of that. But Invisible Ink, he has this great thing in there where most stories fall into this situation of every day, blank, until one day, blank, and because of that, blank, and because of that, blank, and then every day after that, blank. Right? And almost every decent story fits into that idea, right? Those series of steps. And I don't feel that that's formulaic because it's not like in Act 1, this has to happen, and then, things like that, right? And so there are some things that need to happen at the beginning of stories so that the end of stories makes sense. Anyway, I love those two books. And also, I got this in the mail just the other day, Ian McKee, and it is beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Where is it? There we go. It's just speed painting. This guy blows my mind. So good. Hoo boy. So there's my receipt apparently. And a little bookmark. So yeah, there we go. A little bookmark. Good stuff. Okay, so I'm excited to read this. I don't think this has anything to do with the creativity, but I do spend a lot of time looking at other artists' work for inspiration and to kind of refill my creativity. And one of the things that I suggest to most people who are trying to figure out how to come up with their own voice and their own style and not mimic other people and do your own thing and be original is when you look for inspiration, you look for inspiration from a lot of different sources. I don't do anything remotely close to what he does. My work is heavily inked and lined, and he does almost lineless, digital oil paintings, and drastically different. But you can learn a lot from people that are different from you. It's not like I'm going to try to become him, but I'm going to use it as an example and glean, how he's working with light, how he's working with color, and those type of things. And then I do that with a number of people. I do that with a huge amount of different voices in the world of art and illustration and cinema and books and whatnot. And I take what I like from that and make it mine. And that doesn't mean that I'm copying or stealing what other people are doing, because that is just whatever. Anyway, another one that I'll be reviewing in preparation for this, Will Eisner's graphic storytelling and visual narrative. Will Eisner, if you don't know who that is, you need to know who that is because he changed the modern landscape of the world. A lot of what he did brought comic books a certain validity into a more mature market. And by mature, I don't mean pornographic. I just mean I mean more mature in that some stuff in comics could be considered just for kids, right? Or it's only for teenagers or whatever. And comics are not like that nowadays. And that is largely because of this giant fight and crusade that he had his entire life. Will Eisner spent his life trying to tell people that comic books are a medium that work and are an excellent storytelling thing. He was recruited or drafted into the military at one point, and he told him, he said, "Hey, listen, I can save people's lives through comic books." And they said, "What are you talking about?" And And what he actually did was he said, does anybody read your manuals? Do you have anything that you're trying to teach people? And they said, oh man, we have so many people that die because they don't understand how to use their equipment correctly, and it, blows up in their face or whatever. And so he spent like a significant amount of time during the war drawing comic books about this character who would bumble his way through daily military life, fixing tanks and, assembling guns and moving munitions around and things like that. And through this bumbling idiot doing everything wrong, and it was funny and people would read it and it was hilarious, right? They were able to actually save lives, and soldiers would learn what to do with the rifles so that they wouldn't die. Again, through what Brian McDonald points out, storytelling, and through what Will Eisner points out, visual narrative storytelling, the sequential art, which is a fancy term for art in a sequence, like comic books, panel, right? And so anyway, he has this book, and at the end of his life, he went and not at the end of his life, but he became a teacher. And this is just incredible. And so a lot of these books, there's, I think, a series of 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4. They're up there on my shelf. And it talks about anatomy. It talks about, gesture and whatnot. And this one is about storytelling. So since I'm doing a workshop this weekend on storytelling, I'm reviewing that. And then I am not all the way through this book yet. Graphic Design: The New Basics by Ellen Lupton and Jennifer Cole Phillips. Ellen Lupton, for those of you into design, might know her because she does the Thinking with Type book, which is like renowned out there. Recommended to me by a good friend of mine on Twitter. And Graphic Design: The New Basics is so good. Just visually, it's amazing. Let me just show you real quick. Just visually, it is... The design of the book itself is so good, and the examples are amazing. But what I really love about it is in the opening here, she talks about this thing called forestorming, which is basically, instead of brainstorming, I have to come up with an idea right now, and you do brainstorming. Forestorming is you spend time in your life doing creative practices so that when you need to draw on that creativity, you've filled up this bank. It's an act of visual thinking and tool for designers to unlock and deepen solutions to basic design problems. But I love this. Let me find it. In a world where almost every designer has instant access to a vast image databases and online search sites, there is little wonder why the landscape of contemporary graphic design is mired in mediocre solutions that capitalize on convenience. And it just talks about how, don't go to Pinterest for your creativity. You can use Pinterest for, cataloging and, inspiration and whatever, but creativity should be something that comes from creative practices that you employ rather than mimicking other people. So far, this is a great read. Can't fully recommend it because I haven't made it all the way through, but what I've read is good. I really like it. And the examples are beautiful. So that's actually what I'm doing tonight, and I won't make you watch me read. So, and all of this relates to my story because I'm telling a story. And so when I just want to make sure, especially with Brian McDonald and Will Eisner, I want to make sure that I'm hitting all the beats that I want to hit. You can tell really short, simple stories. You got to make sure they land. And I really want it to resonate. I really want you to care about the main character, and I want the viewers to know what's at stake, what the risks are, what the consequences are, what is being risked, and then really see, a story arc, and hopefully have kind of some sort of cathartic resolution of things that were introduced at the beginning will be resolved at the end. And so you don't need 2 hours to do that. Sometimes you can do it in minutes. And so I'm hoping to do it in minutes. We'll see. We'll see how we do. but I learn through teaching often. And so this will be really helpful for me to kind of work through the process of this presentation and these workshops with these students. And I'm going to learn a lot from them. So this is actually significantly longer than I intended because it is very, very late. So I will catch you guys later. Enjoy your day, be creative, do fun things, and make stories that matter somehow, any way that you want. Okay, you can find my stuff at corykerr.com, and I have updated my site to include an entire page that houses all of these videos for my 100 days. And so you can always go to my site and click on that. And some of you might find that format a little bit easier than this format. So than on YouTube. Some of you are currently watching this video on my website instead of on YouTube. And that's very meta of you. Anyway, follow me on social media. Links in the description of this video and whatnot. So I will catch you guys later. Be awesome. I'm out.